Welcome to the Resilient Butterfly Podcast. My goal is to share inspiring stories of healing and recovery through many diverse approaches and models. Our guests bring incredible lived experiences, insights, and or professional expertise, each with their own unique path. While we highlight and celebrate these stories, our intention is to inform, inspire, and demonstrate resilience and creativity. This podcast does not endorse any one approach. We believe there is more than one way to heal, and we're here to showcase the resilience and possibilities that exist. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Resilient Butterfly Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have with us Adam Rossen, who is a criminal defense attorney in Fort Lauderdale and Boca Raton, Florida. And anywhere else?
Well, we're all throughout South Florida, and we handle federal and white-collar cases nationwide, but I like to think I'm everywhere.
Okay, that's great. And Adam, we'll just go right into it as a conversation. I want to learn a little bit more about you, and then we'll talk about what type of criminal defense that you do that is related to what we are really showcasing here, some hope and resiliency and family. And probably people are wondering, why do I bring a criminal defense attorney here? And it is because of some of the effects that are just trickle down from a person having a DUI or other, and we can talk about that, and then the family that is involved in a lot of different things. So with that said, Adam, welcome. I appreciate you coming.
Thanks so much, Pam, for having me here. I'm so excited. I know we've been planning this for a few months now, so I'm glad we could finally get it done. And anytime I can work with you, talk to you and your people, it's a good day for me because we all have the same mission. We're here to help people.
Sure. And when you say mission to help people, a lot of times people think about getting an attorney. They're gonna just take care of the legal work, and they don't really care about what's going on with the person or the family or what's happening to them. So explain how you may approach things a little bit differently.
Right. So what we do through the way we practice criminal defense is we treat the person. Okay. We get hired by the person. Now, the person has an issue or a problem. It's most likely a criminal-related problem, whether it's a DUI, domestic violence, a burglary, drugs or drug trafficking, whatever it is. They have a criminal and a legal problem. But we know, because we've been doing this so long and we're so passionate about this, that there's underlying issues for a lot of our clients, whether it's substance abuse, mental health issues. And so we look at our job as, yes, we are the ferocious litigators and we go to court and we're the Spartan warriors, but all that is for nothing if we're not building deep relationships with people and if we're not really helping the core, because we never want our clients to come back. And we see it when we meet with not just clients, but their families, and we can see and feel the pain that they're going through, whether it's issues related to a divorce, right? Or just whatever is going on with them. And we've built our firm on the backbone of we are people-driven, we are community-driven. And how do we help people and help our community? Well, it's through what we do in criminal defense work. And it was just something that came to me I've had the firm for 17 years, but it's something that came to me about 10 years ago. And I'm like, why are we not thinking about this? We as an industry, criminal defense lawyers. And I said, I want to be different. And I'm doing this to help. So it's morphed and evolved over the years. And we have a massive, presence in the behavioral health community.
Sure. And I know that because I've seen you present with other attorneys and or therapists that are in the community working together collaboratively to help the person heal and be able to work out any kind of legal situations so that they can get the help that they need in order to not return to you and or jail or prison, whatever that may be. So one of the things that, and I'm doing this a little bit early on in our conversation, but I did attend one of the seminars or lectures, whatever you might call it, and you mentioned in that you want to see someone not go to jail for whatever reason, and which is a very conflictual thing sometimes in our field, or families and their advice that they get, like let them have the consequences that they need. And you said that if they go to jail, then there's a lot of trauma that continues on. Am I saying this right?
Well, what I recommend, a lot of it is contextual, right? It really depends on the specific context and issues and the crimes that are being charged and so on and so forth. So if somebody needs to detox, well, I think one of the worst places to detox is in a correctional facility. So that, when we're talking about those type of issues, I don't, and I understand the family's emotions, all right? I'll let them sit and let them stew, but, I think the detox should be done at a medical management, a proper detox facility. Now, if we're talking about, well, do we just let somebody, there's not detoxing, sit there for a little bit? A lot of times, and we have some conflicts because we may be hired by the family, but we represent the client.
Sure.
It doesn't matter who pays our bills, we represent the client. But we're also in a unique position where if somebody needs to sit for 3, 4, 5 days, 7 days, and they're not detoxing, but we're trying to figure out the right treatment center and place for them, then fine, right? That's okay, because you don't want to rush it and get the wrong place, as I'm sure you've seen over and over and over again in your career. On the flip side to that, we have the unique ability, and I know people are only going to get it when they're ready to get it and they can't be forced. And I know that failure is part of the process, or, steps backwards, whatever you want to call it. But we're in the unique position on a lot of cases to talk to our clients and say, listen, I understand you want to get out today. It has nothing to do with your family. We're here to look for the best long-term solution, but we're also building a mitigation packet, and we're building, a case that maybe we're not going to beat it on the merits, on the facts. Maybe you're guilty of sin, right? And we can't win in that way. But we can develop the right plan, and it's going to look great to the prosecutor and great to the judge that you go to this facility. I know you don't want to go to treatment. Well, right now the options are jail or treatment, and we can work a custody to custody transfer. And we're good at selling that because of the court case.
Sure.
Now, we're not going to lie to a client, deceive a client, because we represent the person, not the family, right? Whereas, some of our friends in the Marchman Act industry, right, they represent the family, so it's much easier for them. But by having that, hanging over the situation, I can think of maybe 1 or 2 out of 100 cases and clients where it actually became an issue. Usually they will strongly defer to us because we kind of come in and become the quarterback. But it really starts with, when you're hired by the family, gaining the client's trust, because sometimes they're like, oh, well, my dad's paying and my dad wants X, Y, and Z, and I have a terrible relationship with him, or think I do.
Sure.
So it's all about trust, but it is contextual. It really, really depends on the situation, because sometimes we might want to let them stay. Sometimes we don't, but where are we going to put them?
Sure.
Right? It can't just let them back out.
Right.
Right.
So having a certain amount of time, I'm going to say 5, 10 days. It could be 5 to 8, 7 days, or whatever that is, to have people on a team work together to provide a plan that makes sense for this individual to get the treatment based on what's happened in the past, how many times has this occurred, and what substances they may be using, and or what is their mental health situation. There's so many factors, obviously. Right. You can't say, okay, you'll stay there and you're just going to go to XYZ, versus really putting a plan together so that this person doesn't return to the system.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many facets to it, right? But when if the plan is rushed, or they get out and there is no plan and they get rearrested, you and I may look at this as kind of well, what did we all expect? The prosecutors and judges look at this as, this is a dangerous person who is not following rules, and we have a wonderful place for people who are dangerous, who don't follow rules. It's called jail or prison. And it becomes much harder to sell that, because they don't, sell something better to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't understand that. So if it's the option of getting somebody out of jail with no place to go, no stability, or the wrong place versus letting them stay in jail for a few days until we come up with this plan, 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100, we're going to pick that option. But again, it depends on so many different factors, because at the same time, we don't want somebody to die in jail if they're seriously detoxing. So, there's steps and different things. And one of the things we can go and we can make those, we can make the plan part of conditions of release. So that way there is something hanging over their head, because as we know, anybody can leave treatment. Anybody can leave anywhere that's not a lockdown facility. And the only lockdown facilities that I know of are the state hospitals, the state mental hospitals, right? And so, but if we have it hanging over their head, such as you're going to violate the terms of your bond, meaning you're going back to jail, the likelihood of somebody staying is higher. It's not always 100%, but it is higher.
Is it necessary to do a Marchment Act at the same time if somebody needs the detox to prevent them from leaving and just being on their own and not following through with the recommendations? Or does the law just allow them to be picked up and brought back to wherever they were?
But that's a great question. I think if we're
maybe go back, some people may not know what the Marchment Act is.
Right. So the Marchment Act, long story short, it's where your family members can petition to have you involuntarily, go to treatment against your will because of substance abuse issues and being a danger. It's basically a Baker Act for substance abuse, is the way I think most people kind of explain it.
There are listeners from all other parts of the country as well as out of the country, so they may not know what any of those are.
So in Florida, the Baker Act is the mental health hold, where if you're a danger to yourself or others, they can involuntarily commit you to a mental health facility for up to a certain period of time. The period of time can change and be extended, and there's different things with that. And so a lot of other states call it different names. Sometimes it's a specific number in the statute. In Florida, we call it the Baker Act. And then the Marchment Act is very similar to that, but for substance abuse. And we have some great lawyers in our area that handle Baker Acts and Marchment Acts and do such a phenomenal job with it. And we partner with them, just like I know, you guys do. And I think it depends, to answer your question, I think it depends on the context, again, of where we're at in the stage. So if we have somebody who is who we've gotten out, maybe a custody to custody transfer to a treatment facility, and there's a team behind them, and there's services for, they're not going to be in the facility forever. Or, if they've downgraded and they're at the point right now where maybe your services are there too, from the case management and all the other the continuum of care, but they're about to leave, they're about to drop, maybe they're using again. It's a conversation that we have, because we don't certainly want, I can't turn them in to probation, but if it's going to be something like that and they're going to be turned into their pretrial officer and go back to jail, maybe it's an intervention first. If the intervention doesn't work, then maybe we do the Marchment Act. It's still the court system, but they're different court systems. So the likelihood of the criminal prosecutor and criminal judge finding out that a Marchment Act happened is lower. It's not always going to happen. So that's something that we can say, look, if we need this, then let's do this. And hopefully we can kind of keep it where nobody really knows about it. I mean, and that's something we've done in the past.
It's a safety mechanism.
Right. Because again, the criminal prosecutors and judges are not trained, and and the system is not equipped to truly understand addiction and mental illness. They look at all of these things as, again, somebody who isn't complying and maybe, dangerous or not, but just habitual non-complier. They look at it personally, and they think it's done intentionally and personally against them and the system. And we know it's not. And so, any ways that we can involve the system as little as it needs to be, maybe with a little bit of kind of hanging overhead of people when it counts, but when it can really hurt them, if we can get around it, sure. And if not, and the person needs to go back and really sit there for a while, then so be it. But I look at that as a last resort, because it also affects our ability it's a lot harder for us to represent people in custody. I mean, we do it all the time. It's just harder. It's more difficult. Communication is less frequent.
Mm-hmm.
The clients get very antsy, and
Mm-hmm.
jailhouse lawyers, jailhouse snitches. There's a lot of different things,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it's the only option.
Fortunately, I never knew that.
Right.
And what I want to go back to is that you made a statement that we know that they did not do this intentionally. And there's a lot of misconceptions in regard to substance use disorder, that people, they're just bad people, and that they don't, they know what they're doing, and they are criminals,
Right.
and they absolutely need to be put away for anything that they have done. So can you go back a little bit in because you're a criminal defense
Right.
attorney, how did you come about learning something more about the substance use disorder, and how do you approach that differently?
Well, I'm just a naturally curious person. I'm a forever learner. I want to always learn and grow. And I was a prosecutor for 2 years as well. And I've had many friends go through substance abuse issues and mental health issues as well. And just being a compassionate person and wanting to learn and help. And just over the years of just saying, well, I'm seeing this situation with this client. What can I learn more? How can I help better?
Mm-hmm.
And going through that process over and over and over again, and caring, just caring.
Mm-hmm.
So many people in today's day and age, they don't care. And they're doing whatever they do just to make money, just to go through, or just to be average. And for us, we don't want to be average. We want to be the best of the best. And we're really community focused. So once, it's been a bit of an evolution. I've always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've grown and grown, just being deliberate and intentional and making those choices and saying, yeah, I want to learn more. I want to help more. How can we do this?
And do you see that some of the judges are learning more, or is that?
I mean, look, it's a tough job. The system's hard. Everybody in the government is overworked, underpaid, but they also don't have direct financial incentives to really go above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of a natural based on who they are as people. And so it's a crapshoot. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's going to get reelected as judge if they're soft, if they're not tough, right?
Sure,
It's been going on for, however long, right? Same with
politics
politicians.
will come in.
Absolutely, right? And I think we can all agree we want to be tough on the right crime, and but we also want to help people, and people need help.
So in your experience over the years, when someone is, well, of course, DUI is DUI, that's substance use disorder. But when I'm talking about maybe assaults or break-ins or things like that, do you have any indication of what the percentage is of those with mental illness and or substance use disorder?
It's hard for percentage, but we see it throughout the entire gamut in criminal defense. It could be somebody who's on having a mental dissociative break from just marijuana, and they're breaking into houses because they're having hallucinations, right? And they're having serious issues. And we've seen it with young kids. Or just having a mental episode at 21 years old, and all of a sudden now looking at 30 years in prison, 40 years in prison because of this, a first-time offense. Now, they're not going to get that, but it's devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen it. We've seen it with domestic violence, tons, and maybe there's family issues, divorce issues, so on and so forth. So there's so many different things. It's not just DUI or drug possession.
Sure.
Right? It's every type of crime. It's been around forever. And even after COVID, I know we're 5 years or so after COVID, but we've seen a huge spike still. We represent a lot of nurses and teachers who are just having issues from the stress of their jobs and everything. It's people with stress, right?
Yeah,
it's a big deal. Yeah.
Well, the medical field, nurses, physicians, all of that. Actually, I heard the other day, unfortunately, that there is a huge percentage of physicians that commit suicide because of the stress of their position and what they're going through. And of course, there is substance use disorder amongst the medical professionals, and there are professional programs in place in, I think, every state to help support their recovery. And it is a monitored program for those folks. And they still sometimes are arrested for whatever reason.
Yeah, those programs, those provider programs are good. Lawyers too, right? High stress, and usually high intelligence, high stress professionals. As you guys know, I know you work with many of them, and so do we. And it's life's tough, right? And I mean, look, I'll tell you, I run a 20-person law firm. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. My wife's a lawyer. She's a prosecutor, but she's one of the good ones and one of the compassionate ones. But we're like, wow, like life is hard, busy, and just difficult. And so, I mean, if we're like that, of course, what would it be like for other people?
For sure.
Yeah.
And everybody has a chance or can take the chance to develop coping skills and taking care of themselves, which is when you're very busy. I mean, I'm in a different stage of my life, but when I was younger, I was doing a lot of the same things, a lot of the same stress. There's, you can't always be your best in circumstances, but there's a lot.
Right. Oh, yeah.
With that.
Absolutely. And again, like for 2 hardworking professionals with 2 little kids, it's hard enough. And so it's especially, look, we're in 2025 now, inflation, all these things going on with just the world. I mean, it's tough out there, and you really have to have a good nucleus and be grounded. And, I practice a lot of gratitude. But we also at our firm, we try to mentor our clients, whether our clients are older than us, the same age, or younger than us. We really do. And that's where also in our firm, it's about caring. We only hire people that really care for others. We only hire lawyers that are compassionate. We only hire staff that's really compassionate. And that's a lot different than some other criminal defense lawyers, but also some other legal industries. And I decided if we are here to help people, then we're going to go all in and really help people. We're not just going to help them with the little issue, because when we do hear that a client OD'd or died or committed suicide, it does happen. I mean, it's devastating to us.
Yeah,
it's absolutely devastating.
Absolutely. It happens with everyone in this field, unfortunately.
Right. And we probably don't lose as many as you guys, but it's devastating.
Well, we want to intervene and protect and be able to take, them into the process of their rehabilitation and recovery and have some hope for the family too at the same time. And there are definitely a lot of factors involved in that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate you coming and in person. And I know you're a busy guy, and I really appreciate so tell the listeners how they can reach you or your law firm.
Right. So I like to think that we're everywhere. Social media, internet, it's the Rossen Law Firm. I'm very big now on LinkedIn. I've made a commitment to be very involved, and I'm having a lot of fun with LinkedIn and connecting with professionals. But we're very easy to get in touch with. Our phone number is 754-206-6200. Anybody can email me, Adam at Rossen Law Firm. Find us on social. We have a big YouTube presence, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything. And we really like to be easy to be found. We put out a ton of information because I know people need information to make smart decisions, and we're here to help. That's really what it is. And I've been very fortunate over the years to grow our firm, because my mindset is, well, if we do a really good job, a better job than most, then I think it's our moral and ethical obligation to grow the firm in the right way, where we can touch more people's lives in our community. So yeah, we're easy to find.
That's great. Thank you so much.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining the conversation today. If you are seeking help for yourself or a loved one, please reach out to our Feinberg Consulting team at 248-538-5425. That's 248-538-5425, and check out our website at feinbergcare.com. I'm grateful for our guests and all who have joined us today. Make sure you follow us on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts.